everyone, and welcome back to Rise with Sarah Sincotta. I am your host, Sarah, and today I have the beautiful, very inspiring, intuitive, in alignment director for Home Road Real Estate, Charmaine, joining me today. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for joining me.
You are so welcome. How exciting. Finally.
I know. Bit of a background, like Charmaine, we actually, I think, got connected through socials and just called to each other. We started messaging, then we had some calls. Finally met last year. And I'm very honored.
At a Rise event?
Yeah, Rise event.
Yeah.
Very honored to be working with you this year. But what I loved and was just your energy, your passion that you have in the industry. And that's what, because I know you, but for those that don't know you, Charmaine, who's Charmaine?
Charmaine is a lover. I can come across as, really out there and really loud because that is what I am. But at the core of me is I am a huge lover. I like to describe myself as a bit of a caramello koala. So you open the wrapper and it's hard and you're like, oh, it's a bit hard. But once you break that exterior, it's super gooey, it's super oozy and super tasty. And you need to go back for more. So that's me at the core is, everything I do is from love, truly. And, I will not shy away from confrontation or conflict. I'll hit it directly down the line, but because I love you and because I actually care. So that is Charmaine in a nutshell.
I love it. Everyone's going to go out and go buy a caramel koala now.
That's right.
Not everyone can have Charmaine all at once.
Yes, all at the same time. Buy yourself a little fun size pack. Have the whole pack. Why not?
I love it. Charmaine, you just remind me so much of myself because I was the same, and I think a lot of people were intimidated by that big energy, and it is beautiful, and it's because you do have so much love to give and so much passion to give to others. So, for anyone that watches it and reaches out, like, please have a chat with Charmaine, because the first conversation we had on the phone, we went deep. Like we went deep into all things life. I loved it. But Charmaine,
super quick too.
What I would love to unpack with you today and the listeners and viewers is what drove you to work in real estate in the first place?
So I used to be a dancer. And I danced my entire life, and it is my creative side, and I still love it to my core. I am a mum of 3 boys and have tried to push them in that direction to get to start a bit of dance, which I also am failing at. So then I had a big injury after my second child. That injury, I was bedridden. So I needed to find another avenue. I am one of those people who struggled with being a stay-at-home mum and what that looked like for me and my identity and who would I be becoming. I really didn't want to be just a mum. And, that's not for everyone. Some people really embrace that and power to you, but that's not who I am. So I needed to find something that had the same fast pace, the same drive, the same attack, and the same that aligned with my work ethic. And the reality for me was real estate is, if you know who you are, at the end of the day, you're selling yourself. What I have found is that it's not about, you could have 1 million properties or 10,000, renters lining up, but it's about who you are and who you're connecting with. So that was the same in the dance industry. Your attitude is everything. You could be the best in the biz and have a terrible attitude. You wouldn't get hired because people didn't relate to you. And when I looked into real estate, I was like, this is going to be the fit for me. And I went gung-ho into that. I'm not super studious, so studying is not my jam. So when I went to do my real estate course, when I went gung-ho into that, it took me a little bit longer than what it probably would take most. So that's how I started.
I love
and
it.
why I started.
Yeah. What a story. And I think, Charmaine, you've done a lot of work and you have a lot of self-awareness, which I think has been from an outsider in and getting to know you has been a big contribution to your efforts and success that, you've had throughout your time in real estate. So why BDM? Because and our topic today was BDM to boss, but before we talk about why BDM?
So I started in a reception role, and I started a little bit later than to what some had been in the industry. And I think that was no disrespect to anyone starting early on, but I think that was a huge advantage for me because of my maturity, my ability to understand how things worked in the real world, really, was undoubtedly the reason that I grew and progressed so quickly. So I started at reception, worked my way into leasing, and loads of fun. So I did BDM and leasing, but that wasn't enough for me. I like the chase. I thrive on, if you've got a carrot dangling in front of me, I'm going to run. And I really enjoy that. And that's why business development was my direction. I also liked the fact that I had that ongoing relationship with the investors. So it wasn't just a set and forget. So I think that is a huge part of how I work now, both residential sales as well as business development. I think those touch points are super important, and staying connected is why I wanted to do business development. Bringing that on and seeing those numbers climb, that excites me. That excites me. Being able to look at your monthly report and go, you know what, this month I did 20 appraisals and I got 15. That's insane. And then you're listing them and leasing them all in one hit. That it's not a roller coaster of up and down. You're just on the upwards, which is insane. So that's why business development is for me. And also the financial stability. This is something that's a bit taboo. No one wants to talk about what your commissions are. Are you on salary packaging? Are you on a retainer? Everyone keeps that a little bit hush hush, but I'm a mum. So I need to put a roof over my kid's head. I want to be able to contribute to my family. I want to be able to put food on the table. So for me, that steady income as well as commissions for leasing and bringing on new business was very, very, very enticing.
For sure. So Charmaine, a couple of things you said is, about one of the things you loved is the relationship building as a business development manager. Do you think that's, having that human connection and knowing how to establish relationships is one of the key skills that a business development manager needs to have?
Undoubtedly. It should go, honestly, without saying, truly. And I think off the back of that, we've talked heaps about how, our relationship evolved and the work that I've done on myself, and you've done the same on yours. And I think that, and I touched on it about, being, young and fresh, and the understanding of who you are to build relationships is vital.
Sure. Yeah.
That is your lifeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can't understand who you are,
yeah.
how can you understand someone else and what their needs are?
Yeah. Well, we speak the same language, right? Because you've experienced it anyway through the program. And that's the first thing that we cover, right? Is who you are. And I'm a massive advocate, because I remember going back to when I started as a business development manager, that I didn't have the awareness and the skills that I initially had until I started working with a coach or a mentor and discover my purpose and my why, and really getting to know myself outside of that BDM title too, because we get so focused in just where we can lose track of, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And what is love so much about connecting with people, you know? And so I think that, like I said earlier, has just made you so relatable as a business development manager and your successes. And you were everywhere, Charmaine, as a business development manager. And that's a good thing, because even though you love the chase, you were attracting clients. And so there's two parts. That is, yes, you love the chase and the thrill of the BDM, and you love getting listings, but you're also attracting the clients that you wanted to work with, because people already knew who Charmaine was by your personal profiling you were putting out there. And that's what I love.
But it goes back to as well, like, you know, you can have your face everywhere, but is that actually who you are? So, you know, you can market as much as you want. And this is at the core to me, probably again, a bit, probably shouldn't really be talking about this stuff, but you can market as much as you want and you can put your face out there as much as you want, which is all well and good. But is that actually who you are? So when people meet you, it's really interesting, because you see photos online, right? And we talk about this in rental, especially rental listings, where you just see the photos and it's about attracting the right renter to the property. And often when I would go to opens, they'd say, oh, this looks nothing like the house, or, you know, this house actually does look like the house. When you are across social media, you need to be able to express who you are and people to feel that.
Yeah.
And that's the attraction you're bringing. It's not just, this is my face, this is my listing. It's about, this is what I believe, and I believe in this.
Yeah.
And understanding that translates, it actually translates through the screen.
Yeah.
So it's harder, absolutely. But it does actually happen if you know who you are and are believing in what you present.
Absolutely. Charmaine, have you always been comfortable to put yourself out there online though?
Yes. I did have to do a bit of work though.
Yeah.
You know, because truly.
Talk us through that, because a lot of, you know, and, you know, we go there when on our we go there, we're going to go there, because you know, agents were just putting their listing and listings up and they're not actually showing their face, or they're not getting videos. And it makes me think, you know, are they not comfortable with who they are to be able to do that? Do they not understand their purpose or the benefits of actually doing that? Or are they just a reserved person, or perhaps they don't want to share information on the World Wide Web, you know? So how did you discover that, okay, well, for me to do this is going to be the benefits for not just my community and my clients, but for yourself too?
It's really like, it's a two-pronged approach. So I love performing, that's wholeheartedly. And, you know, the best way to showcase a property is for you to actually to be there and to understand the property. And it wasn't about, for me, it wasn't about just getting my face out there. It was about audience reach and maximizing that potential for my clients. So REA, Domain, you know, Homely, all of those portal sites are well and good. But if I'm out there and getting a further reach, that's going to maximize everything. So when I initially presented it, there were haters. So the work that I had to do was around blocking out that noise. And as comfortable in who I am as I am, it ain't easy. You know, I know who I am, I believe in who I am, But when you are constantly getting pushback, when you are constantly hearing how silly you are, or are you making this a joke? This looks like a joke, from not only those that you don't know who are on the internet, but those that you work alongside, who truly you want to be on their team, because I believe wholeheartedly in team. And for them and the people that you work alongside to not have the same vision was probably harder for me than the haters online, because that meant that they didn't understand who I was and what I was about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that was really difficult. And the way I navigated that was reflection, coming back to myself and my supporters.
Mm.
But the biggest one was results. You can come at me as hard as you want, whenever you want. But if I stayed true to myself and pushed, those results came in. Yeah. And now, 2-3 years down the track, those exact same people are doing the exact same thing I was trying to get them to do 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it's not easy. But if you do want to put yourself out there, you have to also welcome the hate.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
do.
Yeah.
You do.
We're not going to be for everyone, right, Charmaine? And it's okay. But I think for you, you know, your key word was reflection. It's, well, and this is just for me, is when someone is criticizing you, or they are judging you, or they're saying certain things, it is generally a reflection on them, because it's a mirror, right? So if you're projecting onto someone else, or you're saying certain things, you need to stop and go, well, why am I saying those things? What is that mirroring back to me? So perhaps that means to those people, Charmaine, was jealousy, insecurities. Yeah. They wanted your success. They wanted to be able to embody that confidence that you had. So my reflection in that would be, well, yeah, go you, right? For showing up and being able to not wear a mask and put yourself out there fully, because that you doing that resulted in you having better conversations with your clients, you being able to attract more people, having strong relationships with your referral partnerships, and I'm sure has contributed well and truly to you now being a director of your own business as well. So well done. And what is that song? Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate. We show up with love anyway, Charmaine, right? And I really commend you for doing that, is that you continue to show up with love.
And that's the thing, I could have taken that, and I spoke to you about this, when I was going through it. And I should have probably said to myself, you know what, that's okay. Let them do what they're going to do, and you just keep pushing. But that wasn't my reflection. What my reflection was, what are they saying? Why are they saying it? And how do I shift this so that these people who are on my team can be a part of this growth?
Yeah.
So that interaction of, and quite often it's never to your face. So let's be real about that. Those interactions became strategies around how to convert the haters to join me. Because if they're happening in real life, then they're also happening out in the big wide world that I'm not attracting.
Yeah.
So the reflection was understanding why they felt that way. Is there another way I can reach them? And what does that look like for me? Because you're right, not everyone's going to like us, not everyone's going to gel with us, but is there a way, not for them to like us, but for them to connect, and for us to be able to understand them better, so that moving forward, we're actually better at what we do and who we are.
Yeah.
So that was a huge reflection point for me. It took a little longer because I was sadder about it for longer, but it makes me better. It makes me whole, so balanced.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're in balance, you're often walking with a limp, right? And it's the same for home road at the moment, home road real estate, which is super exciting. I am often walking with a bit of a limp because I'm so focused at, you know, getting this running and getting our name out there and traction and what I believe to work, that the imbalance of my personal life, I'm doing these ones. And you have to work on, and I believe this wholeheartedly, you have to work on what you're not good at first and foremost before you work on what you are good at. Because if you keep working on what you are good at, that imbalance is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we spoke about a few things, but alignment, I think, is massive as well. You know, as a business development manager, and both of us be business development managers, and for those that are watching today, is get yourself aligned with a business that share the same values as you, or perhaps they're on the same mission. I think that's so important. And for any directors watching today, this is a real lesson as well for you. It's because your business development managers are the face of your business. They want to help the business grow, which then contributes to your growth, the team growth. Embrace the ideas and the creativity that the BDMs come to you with, because they are the ones out there speaking to people every day. But
Trust them.
It's part of a BDM's role is to come up with new strategies for the growth of the business and trial it, right? If it works, it works. You can say it doesn't work, but embrace that. And also, I think, is the individuality of people as well. You know, I think I've seen there's a lot of businesses trying to control their team and what their staff do. But let them shine, you know, like give them that moment to shine, because we talk about this all the time. Coaches, we talk about this all the time. People do business with people. Yes, the branding helps for sure. It definitely does help. But when you are sitting in someone's house and you are literally consciously having a conversation with them, the brand means nothing. The person that is sitting in front of them is all that matters at that point. So let them be who they are and let that creativity shine. And Charmaine, I think that was so great that you did that. So then let's explore, because you went through those challenges, but you were such an amazing business development manager. And it's no wonder now that you have launched your own business and you have gone from BDM to boss at Home Road Real Estate. So what was the driver? Now what's your why now behind Home Road Real Estate?
So my why are my babies. They're my why. They're my why for everything, you know, which is a little bit sad for me, because looking back, you know, years ago, my why is I didn't want to just be the mum or whatever. And now I've really evolved into, yes, I'm just the mum, you know. And I love that for me. And they are my why. They are my everything. And Home Road Real Estate embodies that. So it's not just transactional. We are bold in everything we do. We are vibrant in everything we do. And we're here to give, because we're regional. So we're here to give that a real big shake. Yeah. And my kids and my purpose and who I am, it's home. You know, home, my memories of home, what it smelled like coming home, what it feels like being in a home. It doesn't matter if you're a renter. The title means nothing. It is the space you create. And they're first and foremost, you know. Results will come, but we're here because I didn't want to be confined.
Yeah. You wanted to spread your wings. It was time.
Yeah. And, you know, no one's going to back you like you back you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's so, I love that, you know, you mentioned about home, because there's so much nostalgia. And me and talking from my European background now, me and my playing Italian cards the other night, and they were my nonno's cards. And in that moment, I took my 35-year-old Sarah to, you know, my 10-year-old Sarah sitting in my
Yeah.
nonna's living area playing
Yeah.
house with my nonno, and like, that's home to me, you know, cooking pasta whenever I do it, like, that's home to when I went to Europe last year, even though I wasn't born there, like, that felt like home. And we can create these experiences for our landlords and our tenants. And so I love that, Charmaine, that's part of your why. And honestly, I feel like more real estate agents and business owners need to go back to that. You know, like, I feel like we've lost that somewhat along the way. You know, like, when did we stop doing tenant inductions in person? Right? When did we stop meeting landlords in person? Like, that's how we welcome them into our businesses. So, and I love that you're incorporating that into your, Charmaine. So what so far has been the biggest differences for you between being a business development manager and now being a business owner?
Whew, paperwork. Hello, paperwork. Admin.
Yeah.
Gotta love that admin. Yeah, gotta love that admin. I don't know how, for me, numbers are not my vibe, not my jam. I think my 6-year-old's probably better at it than I am. But that has been huge for me. Reporting what that looks like, hitting my KPIs, hitting my targets, always as a business development manager, that was okay. But being a business owner, you are doing like stack loads of that more. I'd say triple. And it's really, the challenge has been wrapping my head around being effective with that side. And for anyone that's wanting to go out on their own and thinking about it, I found heaps of resources around, the successes of going out there and doing that, but nothing around who do you contact to ASIC about setting up your structure? Who are you talking to actually support you through the admin process? You can talk to your financial planners, and you can talk to your brokers and your good people of your power team, Sarah, that you can have on your side. But what happens is, when you enter starting your own business and then you've got traction and you keep running, you forget about those things, sort of like pregnancy and having a baby, right? You forget about all the hardship. And so no one's talking about that. No one's talking about the late nights researching the best way for you, because everybody's different, about structuring your business. Right. What does that growth look like? What systems are you implementing to help you with that growth? Who are you talking to about this? What research have you done? This is like, for me, has been.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that feeling too. And I was very fortunate that my partner coaches people to do exactly this, and so I had that. But even to this date, I actually had a fine from ASIC because I hadn't kept up with the business stuff. And I was like, well, I haven't got anything. Like, shouldn't this be my accountant? It's just all these little things, right? That you've got to now think of. It's not just you're a property manager, and it's not just you're a PM. You are a business, and it's when doing those different hats. And I also think, Charmaine, that this is why it's so crucial and important to be surrounded by other people who have done or been where you are. Like, I know that you've connected with quite a few now, but can be like, what was the best way that you structured it that works for you? Like, was it a trust, for instance, those things? So, and it's just get yourself in that community, and don't be afraid to, if you see someone, they're doing really great things, send them a message or give them a call. Like, I'm Charmaine. I've just gone out on my home raid real estate, and I would love some assistance. Can you help me? And more than likely will give you some help and share their journey and what you've done. I think more that needs to happen. But
it's that learning, isn't it? And that education. And I do that best visually, because like I said before, education and learning like this is not my vibe, along with numbers. So you're probably all wondering why you're in your own business. But I learn visually, and I learn by doing things and interacting. And that's my biggest takeaways. So just surrounding yourself, like you said, with those people and spitting out ideas and workshopping that stuff has been a great way for me to learn.
Yeah. And what skills have you implemented into your business from being a BDM?
Ooh, what skills have I implemented? Scripts and dialogue. Really, really important. That I always thought was a really great way that I closed. The biggest thing for me that I brought across was my don't budge on fees. There's probably going to be a lot of renters out there or investment owners out there that are just thinking, what? She used a script on me? But that is something that I've brought across. A skill that I've brought across is I have a set of dialogues that I use, fee competing email templates. I didn't budge on my fees. And if I did, it was because I had another person who was on my team telling me that I couldn't get that across. So I brought that skill. I think is super important. And I've also brought the skill of reports, reading over my reports and what are my individual targets, not what are the business targets. I've kept them completely separate.
So the things that you need to do every day.
Just as me versus the business. The business.
Cool. So I think another thing, it's like the negotiations, really, Charmaine, is your scripts and dialogues. Is if someone comes back to you and says about fees, it's that negotiation period, really. It's, well, they're trying to negotiate with you. How do you combat that? How do you acknowledge that? And a lot of the content I'm putting out now is around being a solutionist, so that we try to minimize that,
objection.
I think the more that we stick to our guns as an industry as well, the less and less it'll happen. It's not going to get removed entirely, because we've conditioned society to be like it's susceptible to but we start talking about how we really help our investors, how we help our renters, talking about things like you've said, Charmaine, is knowing your why, right?
Your worth. Let's add that in. Knowing your worth,
your value, being able to articulate that and be having the relationships at the forefront. Like, some people aren't going to give a shit. Like, I worked with some people that they didn't want to get to know who I was, and they didn't want me to know who they are, and that's fine. But typically right now we're finding in this industry, in property management, that people want to work with us because they need that peace of mind, security. But there's one extra one I always talk about, and that's care. They want their property managers to care about them, right? And generally the complaints that I'm seeing is because their property managers don't care. They're not showing up. They're not communicating with them, right? So it's like, if you show that care and you learn how to articulate your value, how you solve their problems, right? Then we can minimize those fees and those objections that can come out, right? I'm saying we're not going to get rid of that entirely, I don't think. But we can.
No way. But you've got to, like, it ties into everything we're talking about, you know? Sure. And, knowing your worth, knowing how much work you do, because PMs, BDMs, leasing agents, my God, it's insane, your workload. And as somebody like, who's, if you are a director out there that you are listening, these people are busting, absolutely busting. So to shift their mindset has to come from you as the leader. You know, if you want to increase your fees, increase your revenue, increase your profitability per property, it starts with your people. It comes from you. So you have to know your worth. You have to know how much your people are worth and shift it that way. And, you know, for me, when I was a BDM, if I charged or they were negotiating a lesser fee, that property per annum walk, because it wasn't worth my team and the guys that I had working alongside me, their efforts, their energies, their love to look after that property for someone who didn't value it.
Yeah.
When I would bring on, you know, one more or two more, that covered that management walking away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's that mindset, and it stems back to, again, profit, revenue, KPIs, targeting. All of those things come down to you as a leader and driving that mindset and understanding how much each property is going to cost you annually and what do you need to make off that property, and can you deliver that service? Are your people there? And if they're not, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
You know,
that's the other thing, Charmaine, there's a lot of noise out there like, oh, increase your fees. And it's all well and good to say, yeah, increase your fees. But I always say if the service doesn't match the fees, you're not going to get those fees, right? So we can talk about increasing fees to cover the costs, right? But you also need to make sure that it's covering the value that you're providing through that service. Because me, like, I wouldn't be able to charge what I charge if my clients didn't see the value in what I do. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't be able to get clients. And yeah, someone else out there might be charging something else, but they are providing that better service. So of course that they're going to get it. So it's like, as much as we want profitable businesses and money to support, you know, our children and our future, we want to make sure that, let's be honest, if we're trying to request these fees from our landlords, are we actually servicing them the right way and providing that value and treating them like how they should be treated, with that care and that peace of mind and security for them? I think there's two parts for that. It's got to be matching value and service.
And like that, you know, from a director, and you know, for me now as a business owner, I know that like it comes from love and that fire, right? And often, even as a BDM, if your fire is dim, your mindset's going to be dim and your drive's going to be dim, right? And therefore, the way you service people and the love of what you do isn't there. So if you can't keep that fire alive, your fees aren't going to match the value that you're bringing.
Sure.
So if your fire's dim and you're not there and you haven't got that rocket up here, you know, that ticking time bomb to keep you running, you know, you got to find what it is that can have you do that so that your team runs with you, and then you're running backed by your team. And if you lose a few along the way, that's their stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're not a part of your ride and they're not a part of your journey, and they're not going to increase your fees. They're not going to increase your revenue. And then you can dig deeper from there.
Yeah.
But, you know, that for me is everything. And that I hope I never lose that fire and that spark. And call me if I have, because I know that you have.
I will.
Over the last, you know, couple of weeks, I was like, oh, a bit shaky here, you know. But that's super important. And that's why I went out on my own as well, because I believe that there are people out there in your team, you know, that'll run with you.
Yeah.
You just got to lead.
Yep, that's right. And you said a key word, and last year my word of the year was believe, right? It's fitting that and I've spoken about this a couple of times, but if you want your team to come on the journey with you and your business, they need in your why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's
and the brand.
That's right. And there's so many BDMs that I will ask, do you know the values of your business? And they're like, no. I was like, so you're working for a business, but you actually don't know that their values and their purpose and their why. And that's alarming. And this is just to bring that attention to the leaders that perhaps listening today, is that if you remember why you started your business and your contribution, your impact that you wanted, or whether it was your financial freedom, tell your team that and be vulnerable in that and encourage them to understand the values, because they should be embodying that and talking about that, right? And I honestly, why I got such great results as a BDM, because every business that I worked for, I made sure that I was so clear on their purpose. And I remember my last place of business, he actually hired me because he said, Sarah, you have that fire in your belly. And I honestly, in the vision that he was doing for the real, and I still do today, right? The vision he's creating for that industry. So it's have that chat and make sure that they know the values of the business.
And that's it. Like, and you mentioned before about, going into your appraisal and they're not going to remember your branding. But that brand, and it's who's in front of them, right? But that branding needs to be a part of who they are when they're going out there.
For sure.
Right. So for me, when I go out to a listing appraisal, I am home road. I actually am. But, I am home road real estate. This is a part of who I am and what I do. And their values align with me. And when the staff come on and when I have more staff coming on, that is a part of our growth.
Yeah.
Who are you? You are home road real estate. It's not just Charmaine Pizzuto White anymore. It's a part of you and how it aligns with you, and I think that's so important whenever you walk into anyone's house, is remember that.
Yeah.
So,
Charmaine, what is something actionable that you would recommend business development managers be incorporating into their everyday activities?
For business development managers?
For BDMs,
Pick up the phone. I know, pick up the phone and work with your sales agents if you've got any in your team. For BDMs today, work alongside them, learn from them, learn how their dialogue is, how they're speaking, how they're closing. I think that as a BDM, if you can connect sales and PM into one, your own way, you'll kill it.
Yeah.
Because the way sales properties are marketed, you also can market your rentals this way. One point of difference already. Pick up the phone and prospect. You would have a database, use it. Block out 2 hours a day and get on the phone.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about closing. So it's not about how many listings you're getting. It's about getting your name out there. They need to know who you are.
Yeah.
So, hello, I'm Charmaine from Home Road Real Estate. I'm not interested. That's okay. I'm Charmaine from Home Road Real Estate. Have a great day. Bang. Next. Just start planting the seed.
Yeah.
That is so actionable. And I know that you talk about this a lot, Sarah, conversions. Record your conversions and break them down.
Yeah.
It makes your KPIs more achievable. So that you're not looking at it and going, oh my God, I need to have 20 listings this month. You break it down.
Yeah.
So, and then you can hit those goals and it's not so overwhelming. And talk to your team. Go team. So many things.
Yeah. And because we're both such strong believers of integrating our personal and professional lives, or just doing the work, what would be some advice for anyone who's looking to really get into more of that personal development space, whether it's reading or a blog or a coach or a mentor or something that has helped you along your journey for your personal development? What's your advice there?
Okay, so for me, I'm deep on this. Sorry, Sarah. There is so much, like an inundation at the moment around wellness and being okay And, especially in our industry, because we're go, 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 there's been a lot of light shed on that. Reading something, looking at something, listening to something, to be really frank with you, because I am, doesn't make you okay, doesn't help you be okay, and quite frankly, it's not actionable for yourself. You can hear it as much as you want. You can hear, yes, you should meditate. Yes, you should do this, and listen to those people with the calming voices. But does it make you feel any better internally? Maybe for some, but for me, that next day, you're probably going to hit that same loop. And you're just going to hit this vicious cycle. So if you really want to do work, it's got to start with you. My biggest thing is journal. Your journal is somewhere, it's not about, dear diary, today I cooked 5 meals, right? Nah. It's, I actually didn't do shit today, and I don't know why. And if that's all you've got for the day, that's all you've got. But that's one thing. The next minute might be, the next night might be, oh, I actually did 3 things today. One of them made me feel like shit. I don't know why it made me feel like shit. So talk to yourself in your journal so that you're getting whatever is in your head out, and then you're not holding on to that. So if a lot of you, and Sarah, you probably are like me, massive overthinker, massive. I will think about discussions I've had during the day over and over in my head. How could I have bettered myself? What did I do there? Should I have done this? Shouldn't I have done? The journaling actually helps with navigating that process and slowing myself down.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great first step. Some people are, not huge journalers, and it doesn't work for them. And that's okay if it doesn't work for you long term. But to start somewhere, 3 lines, go hard.
Yeah. I love it.
Because no one's in your head, you know?
Yeah.
And then, if you want to go whole hog at the end of the year, burn it. There's some wellness podcast for you. Let it all float away.
I love it. That's a great way to end. Charmaine, I want to, congratulate you from, your transition from BDM to Boss now. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm sure that there's going to be so many takeaways people get from today, and just, your inspiration. But, however, it's do the work, right? It's get inspired by Charmaine, take this on your stride, but actually do the work to really discover who you are, the impact that you want to make, and your why, because that is in your life. And because Charmaine has done that work and continues to do that work, I just can't wait to see what you're going to be celebrating at the end of the year, Charmaine. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Okay, thanks for having me. Turn the no's into power, turn them around, shift around, keep you going.
Absolutely. Love your work, Charmaine. And for anyone who would like to connect with Charmaine, her details will be in this episode. And in true Sarah Cincotta style, everyone, keep rising.
Woohoo! See you guys. See you, Sarah.
See ya.